Hi everyone, you can see behind me I've got a pretty active bee yard, pretty big. This is one of our last biggest yards I need to split this year, and it's about mid-September. I was hoping to be done before September hit, but you know, life happens, bees happen. Most of these are double deeps, triple deeps, or double deeps with a medium super on. I haven't opened them yet, but when I was here a couple weeks ago, they were still making cotton honey because we've got a lot of irrigated cotton fields around us. And I think we're going to go ahead and just try and split them, hope it's not too late. And that's what I'm going to be doing today, is trying to get all these prepped. There's probably, I don't know, over 100 hives here, 120 hives, something like that. It's one of our bigger yards. And we're going to come, I think, tomorrow night, if I can get this yard set up correctly today, if I don't get rained out. We're going to come out tomorrow night and split it in half. You can see this is a really active yard. Still pretty early in the morning, and you can see how the bees are just really flying around a lot. They're on something. I've got to open up and take a look. They were on cotton a couple weeks ago. I don't know if they still are. They're steadily bringing in pollen. They were 2 weeks ago, last I looked at them too, but they're bringing even more in now. See all the little yellow pollen on their legs. There's a lot of peanuts around and cotton. That might be it, but could be something else too. I'm not really sure. They needed a couple more weeks to grow up before I split them, and I'm hoping they're good enough now that we can, because it's getting late in the year and I really just need to get this done. The hives here are really busy and they're really working something. This is one of our best bee yards. We've consistently, for like, I don't know, last several years, every single hive we have that survives the winter from this location has always gone to California and always made grade. It's just really a great spot. Not some great some of the boxes aren't great, but we can fix that later. And they're staying pretty busy. I've got to go through every single one of these today and maybe tomorrow, so that I can come out tomorrow night and crack them in half or break them all down to singles. Some of these I might be able to take 2 deeps from. I'm not sure. Have to see today. If they really did get some good cotton honey, they should be pretty packed out. But I won't know till I look at them. Okay, so all I'm really doing is I'm just going through each of the boxes, whether it's 2 stories, 3, or even 4 stories. And I'm just basically making sure there's honey and brood and enough bees to cover that brood in each of these boxes. I'm not actually worrying about where the queen goes. Some of the hives have been slam full and some have been a little weaker than I would like. This one, you can see, is pretty much empty. It's got a little bit of comb, some bees on it, but there's nothing there. So this one's probably going to get set aside. But the next box looks really full. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is just see how much brood I've got total in this hive, because the brood's going to really tell me how many splits I can make. Got a little frame of open brood here. There's one, and I'll just set these aside and get a count. If I have enough brood and honey, I can kind of rebuild that top box. There's a good frame of brood there. Really nice. These are my spring queens. They did really, really well here. Made it pretty nice. Another nice frame of brood. And they're pretty plugged out from that cotton honey. They didn't make as much as last year. There's a lot of peanuts around, but otherwise they did pretty nice. So that looks like that's probably it for the brood nest in this top box. Yeah, the rest looks like honey. So I got 3 frames of brood from this one. I want to make my splits right now a little on the strong side, so 3 frames of brood per split. So I need at least 6 frames of brood for these 2 boxes. If I get a little more, I might try and make a third one, a third split. And again, I don't really care where the queen is. I'm going to come out probably tomorrow night and split all these boxes down to a single. The queen will be in one of the boxes, I don't really care. And I'm going to add a queen cell to each of the boxes. It's pretty fast, and you don't have to transfer them from a 5-frame box back into a 10. A little bit of work on this end. There's a queen. I don't know if you can see her. There she is. So I'm going to leave her right here, just so I know she's in here. I don't really care where she is. I just don't want to squish her while I'm digging around. Another frame of open brood. So I've got 6 frames of brood right now, so that's definitely enough to get 2 splits out of. And there's 7. Oh, that might be it. Dang, I was hoping for a little more. So this is where I got to kind of make a call. There's a lot of honey. There's a good amount of bees. I prefer to make splits with 3 brood, but man, if I try 2 brood, I might be able to get 1 more split. I like to leave, if I'm going to leave less brood in one of the boxes, usually it's the bottom one, because we'll actually start cracking these boxes in half around sundown, so we'll still get some drift back to the parent colony here. This one's going to be a lot stronger. It's going to be full of bees, mostly foragers. So I can either leave 1 frame of brood and hope it sticks with all the bees it's going to get, or I can give each split 2 frames of brood. A bit torn on that one. They're getting a little robby. It's overcast, so I better not leave it open too much. I'm going to go with 2 frames of brood, I think, to be safe. I think that's the better thing to do. I'm going to take a couple frames of honey, see if I can't get a 3rd split out of this. It's a little risky to do that with a queen cell this late in the year for sure, but it sure is tempting to get a few more splits out of the yard than you were expecting too. Now, that's the gamble I'm doing. They're very robbing today. Hey. This. This. 2 frames of brood is usually okay for a spring split, but a mid-September split, I'm playing with fire here. Well, I'm a risk taker. I gotta try it. Alright, make sure they got a couple good frames of honey here. So this was the top box, so it was the most empty. I'm gonna put it in the middle, so maybe it'll catch a few more bees before I crack it. And this is not the end of the line here for these splits. When I come back around and put the cells in, I can equalize them a little bit during the day too. Some of the splits, when you do this, will be really slammed full of resources, and some will be depleted. But you can just equalize and make it work. It's always better if you can put more of the open brood in the top box. It'll draw more nurse bees. If you just do a lot of cat brood, you may not have enough bees to cover the brood in the very top box. It's not a problem when you're only splitting a double deep, but when you get in the triple, quadruple deep range, sometimes there's not enough bees to cover everything. Alright, so this one's done until I come back tomorrow night and just pop these top 2 boxes off, and then I'll come around and throw cells in all the boxes. and we'll see how it turns out. Well, I got the first 2 rows here ready to split. I've got, I'll leave these lids here on the side. I'll come back tonight. That way I can just pop this box here, this top one off. I'll have a new 4-way pallet right here, so I'll just set it over. And I grab that lid and I put it back on what's now going to be a single with a parent colony. I would do more, but I don't know if you can tell, but they have started robbing like crazy. This pallet here is getting pretty decimated. I'm just gonna have to stop for the day. That's it. And look at that. I've been spraying them with water. I've set up an open feeder, blocked the entrance. I've never had problems with this yard before with robbing. This one's getting robbed pretty bad too. It's so tall. It's a fantastic hive. I'm gonna get 3 deep splits off that one hive, but yeah, the robbing's getting out of control. We've had a lot of problems this weekend with the hurricane, and that overcast weather just really triggered them. Plus, we're just in a nectar dearth. So I may just have to do half the yard, give them a little break, and come back another day to finish splitting this other half. It's a little frustrating. I've got the cells ready. They're going to hatch. I already waited 2 weeks for them to grow up so I could split them, and now I got to wait more, but it's how it is, unfortunately. But we'll get at least 50 good splits off this tonight, and hopefully I can get at least another 50 off the other side. More, really, I'm hoping. But if I get at least 100 good splits, I'll be pretty happy. Yeah, this is what you definitely don't want to see when you're splitting, especially if you're trying to split triple deeps, because you have to have the hives open so long that, yeah, this happens, unfortunately. Usually I keep a small tarp in the truck that I'd throw over the pallet, but I must have taken it out, so all I got is a couple pieces of plywood, and I've been spraying them with water, but there's nothing I can really do. Just leave them alone. Hopefully they'll still be alive when I come split them tonight, but man, I really don't even know. I may lose these 2 colonies, and that's the downside of splitting too far outside of your nectar flow. This can happen. Sometimes you can just do more harm than good when you're trying to make hives or do anything really when you open them. But it's part of beekeeping. Brought a little kiddie pool with a bucket of corn syrup. I've been setting the dead outs and the empty supers over here to draw them this way. Had to set this out away from the yard behind some trees. But man, they've already drank up several gallons of corn syrup. I'm hoping to draw them off, but I mean, honestly, once they start robbing on a hive, they just don't want to get off of it. But hopefully this will slowly kind of train them to come over here away from the bee yard over the next few days. I hope it doesn't rain. But yeah, we're just gonna have to hold tight until the robbing's finished. Okay, we're back around sundown. Gonna get the pallets laid out, lay some more lids out. I didn't have enough earlier today. Then we'll start splitting them. Definitely had a little bit of dead outs from the robbing here, but not as bad as I was expecting. See, they're still covering the hive. These are the 2 hives that were getting robbed real bad earlier. Definitely got some dead bees in the grass here. But hopefully they're okay. We'll find out when we open them up and put cells in. Alright, it's dark enough. The bees are mostly done flying for the day. So I'm just going to smoke these pretty heavy because they get a little mean at night. I'm going to crack the boxes down all the way until they're just a single deep. Set them on the new pallets we brought out. Throw the spare lid on top. And then we'll move these to a new location. And I'll come back hopefully tomorrow or the next day. Put queen cells in both boxes, the original parent colony and the split we're about to make. And that'll be that. Put the lid back on. Done. this next one. Alright, that's it. We'll do half the yard, and I still got to come back and finish the other half of the yard since they were robbing so bad. May just have to give them a few days to cool down, and then hopefully we can get this done before it gets too late in the season. We're done. We just moved in half of that yard we were at. Got about 12 pallets, 48 hives for us. We still had to go around and check all the lids and make sure they were on straight. They kind of rattle loose sometimes, and you probably saw when I was unloading, this was an old farmer's field last year. They're letting it settle. So the ground's pretty uneven. There's a lot of stops and stuff, but so the little hives get shaken up a bit, but they should be happy here. We moved them out here because it's surrounded by cotton and peanut fields, and I think this was a peanut field last year. And that usually creates a lot of wild mustard during the winter for us, which is it's a huge protein source. That's how we build our colonies up before we send them to California for the almond pollination. So if we're lucky, everything where these bees and these hives are at, hopefully they're going to be filled with yellow flowers this winter, and all the fields around us should be too. We're going to bring in, we'll probably stage hundreds of hives here as we get closer to winter. That way we can just pump a lot of syrup to them, and they can have that protein coming in, and we can juice them up right before we send them to California in January or February. So that's it. I got a call from the landowner this morning and said that we had a lot of flooding over here in the bee yard, so I ran back over to check on them. And I can see there's a lot of water already here. Stream overflowed a bit. The problem is the culvert washed out, so I can't even get these other half of the hives out at all. So basically we're going to be stuck with what we've split so far. I can do some same yard splits maybe today if they're not robbing bad to fill in those dead out spots. I can use the larger colonies, but I can't get these out. I can't get the truck or the bobcat in, and I can't get over where the culvert washed out at. So as late as it is in the season, I think we're just going to hold tight, and maybe it'll be a good little experiment. We'll have half the yard will be extremely strong and the other half will be weakened, and we can see if it's worth doing it this way again next year. I wasn't really sure how the splits would turn out this late in the year. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can open them up without the robbing and make sure there's not too much water damage in them. I can see the water levels got pretty high here, but hopefully it didn't get too much in the hives. They're probably okay. Oh man, definitely not getting over this. I got everything rebuilt in the yard. There were about 21 dead outs. They've all been fixed. So most everything is a single. That's all from last night that we moved. All the triples I broke back down into doubles and rebuilt all the dead outs there. Did a little bit of equalization. We've still got a lot of robbing going on. I'll have to come back and put in cells tomorrow if the weather holds out, and definitely need to come and feed them. And hopefully the robbing doesn't do too much damage, but other than that, this yard's done. We're finally done with splits for the year, finally. Mid-September, a couple weeks later than I wanted for it to happen, and still didn't quite actually split all the hives I wanted to, but with the culvert getting washed out, this was our last yard to split for the year, and it's getting too late. I don't think it's worth trying to squeeze another 50 or something hives. We'll just let them ride, and hopefully they'll be good and strong come California. Feels good to be done. Hope we're still really behind. The storm has put us quite a bit behind, and still got to come back and carry in buckets in this yard one at a time to get over that culvert, and of course put in cells and all that. So a lot of work to do, but I am glad that we're done with splits quite a bit earlier done than last year. So yay.